Welcome to St. Stephen's Community House, and thank you all for coming today. My name is Marilyn Mahaffey, and I'm honored to be the CEO of St. Stephen's Community House. We own and operate the Mid-Ohio Market at St. Stephen's. We typically provide food to over 1,000 households per week. We, like many, are struggling to keep up with the demand. Last Wednesday, we served a record high of 310 unduplicated households. This equates to over 1,200 individuals in one day. We are bracing for the influx of people that will need to use our market this week due to the government shutdown. People were already stressed financially with the increased cost of living. Many of the people utilizing our market are scared and frustrated, not knowing if they can meet their basic needs. We are here to assist those families facing food insecurity during this challenging time, but know that we cannot do it alone. We are grateful for our partnership with the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, a partner that we know is standing with us and supporting markets and pantries in Central Ohio. During this time of uncertainty, we are thankful to see our community come together to combat this situation. It is now my honor to introduce Mayor Andrew J. Ginther.
Thank you, Marilyn, and thank you all for joining us here today. This is a true stacking hands moment. We have so many people to thank. Franklin County Commission President Erica Crawley and her colleagues, John O'Grady, and Commissioner Boyce, Kevin Boyce, Matt Habash, and all the employees and volunteers at the Mid-Ohio Food Collective. Dr. Angela Chapman and her team at Columbus City Schools, Pastor Michael Young of City of Grace Church, and the many faith leaders and congregations helping to support our neighbors in need. I worshiped yesterday at New Salem Baptist Church, and Dr. Troy spoke about the need for everyone to step up during this critical time. And then my senior leadership team and directors, Kim Douglas, Chris Long, Chris Moses, Bernita Reese, Dr. Roberts, Matt Smito, Mike Stevens, and other city leaders who've jumped in quickly to identify ways the city can help. Today, I'm reminded of a story written by Lauren Isley. It's about a young girl walking on a beach after thousands of starfish were washed up by a big storm. The little girl knew the starfish would soon dry out and die on the beach. So she began to throw them back into the ocean, one by one by one. At first, the people on the beach watched her with amusement, and after a while, a man approached her and asked, "Why are you doing this? You can't save all these starfish." She looked at the man, picked up a starfish, and threw it back into the ocean. She said, "Well, I made a difference for that one," she said. The man thought about it, and inspired, he began to throw the starfish back too. Then the entire crowd began to help. And soon, many, many more starfish were saved. Neighbors, today we are those people on the beach. Each month, the federal government issues about $31 million in SNAP benefits to our neighbors here in Franklin County. Right now, we have more than 173,000 Franklin County children, seniors, individuals with disabilities, and others who have been washed ashore, left to put food on the table without this vital resource. I don't have $31 million lying around. Neither does Commissioner Crawley and her colleagues. Neither does Matt Habash. This isn't the role of city government or county government or the private sector or the nonprofit sector. This is the role of the federal government. They have the resources and responsibility to feed the 1 in 8 Americans who depend on SNAP. Currently, our representatives in Washington are at an impasse and shut down. And although a federal judge sided with the city of Columbus and other cities on Friday by ruling that the Trump administration must pay out SNAP benefits, this month's payments will be delayed. And new changes in eligibility mean that we have lots of starfish on the beach, our neighbors. But Columbus always rises to the occasion. We are here today because we are stacking hands to see our community through this challenge, this crisis. The City of Columbus, we've looked through every department to identify ways that they can help. And this morning, I'm proud to announce that the City of Columbus is ready to support our neighbors during this time of uncertainty. The City of Columbus will issue a grant of $500,000 to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective so they can continue to serve as the front line for families seeking nutritious food. We will grant Columbus City Schools with $125,000 to send meals and pantry items home with students eligible for SNAP so they can come to school ready to learn and thrive. All of our city school children already have access to a free, nutritious breakfast and lunch 5 days a week as well. The city will also provide a grant of $40,000 to the Children's Hunger Alliance to fund 1,500 meal boxes to be distributed to families with children at after-school programs, and a grant of $30,000 to Life Care Alliance to provide frozen meals and snack items to be distributed at Columbus Recreation and Parks mobile produce markets. Columbus Public Health will also deploy point of distribution centers, or PODs, at the city's mobile produce markets starting this week. The PODs will distribute frozen meals, produce, shelf-stable goods, toiletries, hygiene products, and diapers to Columbus SNAP residents. Representatives will also be available to enroll qualifying individuals for utility discounts, WIC, and other services. PODs will be deployed at 4 recreation centers, and the schedule is available in today's news release. No one should have to choose between rent and food. In the past few years, we've had the extra resource of federal COVID emergency rental assistance dollars, but those funds is fully expended. So I'm also announcing that $2 million in emergency rental assistance from the city will soon be available to extremely low-income households through the city's Resilient Housing Initiative. If you need rental assistance today, I encourage you to go to rental614.com. Columbus Water and Power is also pausing utility turnoffs related to non-payment and waiving late payment fees. SNAP recipients can also receive a one-time bill credit of $65 for water and $50 for power, and an ongoing 25% discount on monthly utility usage. This program has plenty of room for signups, so I encourage folks to apply at columbus.gov/payassist. Our partners at CODA also offer half-price fares to SNAP recipients. These programs aren't the same as food assistance, but they can help a household dollar go a little bit further during this time of crisis. Fortunately, we are not alone in working to address this temporary crisis. The county is generously ready to answer the call as well, and I'm so proud to introduce my friend and colleague, the President of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, Erica Crawley.
Good afternoon. I bring greetings on behalf of my colleagues at the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, John O'Grady and Kevin Boyce. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you, Marilyn, and everyone here at St. Stephen's Community House for opening your doors to serve our neighbors. Across America, nearly 50 million mothers, fathers, seniors, and children rely on SNAP and WIC just to eat and stay healthy. And here's what's most important to remember. Most are working families, people who get up every morning to go to work and still need help putting food on the table. Right here in Franklin County, more than 183,000 neighbors rely on these programs, including nearly 80,000 children. For so many, this shutdown isn't a political issue. It's a kitchen table issue. It's opening the refrigerator and wondering how to make half a gallon of milk last. It's parents counting every dollar at the checkout and grandparents skipping meals so their grandchildren can eat. It's not about party lines, it's about families and food lines. And the fight to make sure every neighbor can feed the ones they love. This disruption doesn't just cause hunger, it causes harm. It hits our youngest children first. When kids go without healthy food, they can't focus, they can't grow, and they can't dream. SNAP doesn't just feed families, it fuels our economy. Every month, over $260 million statewide and $30 million right here in Franklin County helps keep grocers, farmers, and small businesses going. When those dollars stop, the ripple hits every checkout line in every neighborhood. You'll soon hear from Matt Habash at the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, which already serves about 5,000 people every day. But that number will rise sharply as benefits continue to lapse. And yet they continue to show up. Because that's who we are in Franklin County. We're not waiting on anyone else to fix this for us. We're moving right now with our city, nonprofits, food banks, schools, and faith partners because no one should ever go hungry while help is within reach. That's why Franklin County is stepping up again. We're set to approve an additional $500,000 in emergency funding to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective to help our most in need neighbors and ensure families, especially children and seniors, continue to have access to fresh, healthy food during this time of uncertainty. Franklin County Job and Family Services is closely monitoring developments in Washington. But let's be clear, food is not a privilege, it's a basic human right. The only real solution is to restore SNAP benefits for every eligible resident immediately. To stay informed, visit jfs.franklincountyohio.gov or follow Franklin County JFS on social media. And for our seniors, residents 60 and older may be eligible for meal delivery through our Office on Aging. Visit franklincountyohio.gov/Office on Aging, or you can call 614-525-6200 for details. This is our moment to give, to volunteer, to check on our neighbors, because while the federal government may be shut down, our compassion is not. Our community is not. Our commitment is not. And together, we'll make sure no one in Franklin County faces this alone. And now, it is my honor to introduce someone who shares that same commitment to our children and their future, Dr. Angela Chapman, Superintendent of Columbus City Schools. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Again, I want to extend my tremendous gratitude to our mayor, Mayor Ginther. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for inviting us to be a part of this very important conversation. To our Franklin County Board of Commissioners and President Erica Crawley, to Matt Habash from the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, to Pastor Michael Young, and to all of our city and community partners for coming together today. What you see standing before you is the true spirit of our city, a community that refuses to stand by when our neighbors are in need. We know that due to the ongoing federal government shutdown, thousands of Columbus families are now facing the frightening reality of losing the food assistance that they rely on to feed their children. We must remember that access to food is not a privilege. It is a fundamental right. For the families we serve in Columbus City Schools, this is more than a policy issue. It's personal. Columbus City Schools serves nearly 47,000 students, all of whom qualify for free breakfast and lunch through the Federal Community Eligibility Provision Program. For many students, these school-provided meals are their most dependable source of nutrition. We know that far too often, hunger shows up in our classrooms, making it harder for students to concentrate, harder to keep our students engaged, and harder to reach the academic goals we know they're capable of achieving. The interruption of SNAP benefits will have ripple effects that will be felt immediately. Families will face increased food insecurity, resulting in a higher reliance on school meals. Teachers and staff will observe the emotional and academic toll that hunger takes on students, affecting their concentration, attendance, and overall well-being. Columbus City Schools is working closely with the City of Columbus, Franklin County, and the Mid-Ohio Food Collective to ensure that our families continue to have access to nutritious food during the federal funding lapse. Meal distribution will continue. Through CCS vendor Champion Meals, the district will distribute tens of thousands of ready-to-eat meals to families across multiple school sites. Each meal is shelf-stable with a 120-day shelf life, allowing for flexibility in distribution. And as the Thanksgiving season approaches, CCS schools are hosting turkey drives at 8 locations to provide families with holiday meals and promote community care. CCS is aligning with the Mid-Ohio Food Collective and Franklin County Job and Family Services to share food access resources and direct families to local pantries via freshtrack.com and other community listings. To our community, we know that we cannot wait for Washington to act. We are acting and taking action right now. This is what it means to live out the Columbus way. All of us stepping forward together to lift up our families, protect our children, and preserve their right to learn without hunger standing in the way. I believe the measure of any community is how it cares for its children, especially in moments of uncertainty. Collectively, we are providing that when we stand together, there's nothing we can't overcome. We have a responsibility as a community to make sure our families never feel the weight of hunger. Today is a declaration that our students' well-being is non-negotiable. Columbus City Schools will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with our city and county partners, because when we feed our children, we're feeding the future of Columbus. And now, at this time, I would like to invite Matt Habash to the podium. Thank you.
Good morning. Good afternoon. To Mayor Ginther, to President Crawley, and to Dr. Chapman, thank you. I'm not sure I like following the three of you anymore. Very passionate in terms of, speaking about the issue. I wish we were not here today. If I have one message, this was unnecessary. It really is, but we are. We've seen tough times before. We've lived through the economic downturns of the 80s. The very first person I ever helped with food was with this agency in 1978. So you've been at this a long time and making sure that nobody in our community goes hungry. We've had the Great Recession, the COVID-19 pandemic. Today we're raising the alarm and asking for your help. USDA still hasn't clarified whether we're going to get this straightened out. We thought this was over the weekend with the help of the City of Columbus and many others with the judge's order, but as of this moment, they still have not released their plan as to when they're going to help make sure that nobody goes without SNAP benefits. More than 1.4 million Ohioans, including over 320,000 people in the 20 counties that we serve. You've heard the numbers here for Franklin County from the mayor and the commission president. They're going to lose their benefits. This is something that you just don't play with. Hunger doesn't play with politics, and neither do food banks. We're here for our neighbors, regardless of what happens in Washington. But with the cancellation of November's SNAP payments, we're bracing for a level of need that we've never seen before. Without SNAP, more kids are going to go to school without breakfast. More seniors and people with disabilities will be forced to make meals out of cheap staples like plain rice or pasta, or nothing at all. And with no end in sight, there could very well be less food on many of our neighbors' Thanksgiving tables. We've reached a tipping point, a historic blow to the millions of people who may soon need local pantries and food banks like us. We're here to help, and our work will continue. But whether you're a person who needs help, a concerned neighbor, or an elected leader, please understand food banks cannot make up for the loss of SNAP benefits. SNAP, which many of you know as food stamps, is America's first and best defense against hunger. By the numbers, food banks like us are critical, but a distant second. As you've heard, about 1 in 8 Americans relies on SNAP. It supports seniors, kids, working families, and people with disabilities in our schools, workplaces, and community. For every meal of food we provide, SNAP can provide up to 9 meals. We will do everything we can, but we know we can't make up the difference completely. Food banks are already stretched thin. Last year was Mid-Ohio Food Collective's busiest year. Demand was 58% higher than it was at the peak of the pandemic. We're already on track to another record year in 25 before this announcement about SNAP. On top of that, the USDA cut $2.4 million worth of food from us last March. Like we told Ohio's elected leaders earlier this year, food banks can't do the impossible, but we will do what we can. Mid-Ohio Food Collective is contacting our local government partners and corporate donors to find every possible source of funds, food, and support. We're asking for additional bulk donations from food donors, raising money to fill pantry shelves, and calling on the whole community to step up in ways large and small. We need your immediate support. Some relief has been announced by the state of Ohio in the form of temporary funding for food banks and direct help to Ohio's poorest residents. This is timely and needed. We're grateful for it. But the sheer size of SNAP and the pain of its loss will still be felt until the federal government finishes its work. For now, it's up to Ohioans to help one another. To our customers, old and new, we're here for you, but please be patient with our staff and these amazing volunteers as we try to do more with less. This is uncharted territory. Expect longer lines and probably less product in your carts. Please give all of us grace as we try to get through this together. To our amazing pantry partners, food supplies are going to be tight. We're exploring emergency options to prepare food. We've already bought a lot of food. We're seeking out new donors and preparing as best we can to make sure your shelves are as full as possible. To our corporate partners, SNAP recipients are your employees and customers too. They need you now, and so do we. If your corporate giving team is looking to make an impact, make a donation today. Help your employees with a workplace giving campaign to MOFC or a food drive for your local food pantry. And for those of you in the agriculture, food, and grocery business, give us a call if you have product to spare. We can get it to where it's needed most. To our local government partners, if you can step up the way the city of Columbus and Franklin County have, now's the time. Our neighbors need us, and you can help us answer the call. Both the city and the county, as you've heard, have made a huge commitment to helping MOFC and our network to support our neighbors. Please consider doing the same for us or for your local food pantry right in your community. To our neighbors, we need you to donate and volunteer. Visit MOFC.org to learn how. If you can't give money, food, or time, then give your voice. Call us at the food bank. Connect with us on social media to share your food assistance story. Together, we can make our voices heard. Most importantly, if you got a voice, call Washington and let them know this is absolutely unacceptable. And lastly, to our elected leaders, hunger families need food, not political fighting and brinksmanship. Food banks and pantries will do what we can at the local and regional level to keep our neighbors fed, but ending this and restoring SNAP is up to you. You can make the choice to fund critical programs that keep our neighbors fed, healthy, and safe. But the clock's ticking. Millions of families are counting on you. A storm is coming. We've prepared as best we can, and we're asking our community to help us hold the line against hunger. And in true Central Ohio fashion, the folks here with me have answered the call. Now is the time to hold tight to our neighbors. For Buckeyes to stick together, give what you can, call your local pantry, ask what they need, donate to MOFC. A hunger-free future is still possible. A hunger-free tomorrow is up to us together. Thank you. It's now my privilege to introduce Pastor Young, Michael Young, who, in addition to all his pastoral duties, happens to be a board member of the Mid-Ohio Food Collective as well.
Appreciate it. Good afternoon, family. Give honor to our mayor, to our president of our board of commissioners, to our superintendent, and to Matt. We find ourselves here today under the backdrop of what can be considered very challenging times. We have nearly 200,000 of our citizens here in Franklin County that are in danger of losing their food supplements. And despite the fact that we're here for challenging times, if I could be honest with you, I'm not discouraged, but DCA Bivens, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because I truly believe that this challenge is a chance for us to show our mettle as a community. The reality is the government is shut down, but it's an opportunity for us to collectively stand up. As we collectively stand up, I believe that we're standing as a community on principles, Mr. Mayor, that we all subscribe to. I believe one of the backbones of the city of Columbus and Franklin County is the backbone of something called benevolence. I believe that this is a loving community, this is a kind community, and this is a generous community. And all of us are coming together under this backbone of benevolence to make sure that not one individual, whether it be man or woman, boy or girl, black or white, rich or poor, doesn't matter what their political views are or their socioeconomic status is, we're collectively coming together to make sure that they don't go hungry. I'm inspired today because there is a tremendous number of not just hearts, but hands that are bringing their collective mettle to the fight against hunger. We're here today because of our mayor. We're here today because of the president of the Board of Commissioners. We're here today because of our superintendent. We're here today because of an incredible organization, the Middle Ohio Food Collective, which, as Matt said, I have the honor of serving on the board. We're all here fighting the same fight. Now, as a representative of the faith community, I believe that faith is not just what we profess, but I believe faith is what we practice. And what the scriptures tell us is, the scriptures tell us faith without works is dead. Part of the ministry, part of the mandate, and part of the message of Christ is he said that when he was hungry, we didn't feed him. Well, those who were in the audience that day posed the question. They said, when did we not feed you? And his answer was, when you chose not to feed those who were considered the least of them. So as a faith community, I believe that we have been challenged to not just speak in theory, but to operate in practicalities. As a result, there are many churches and houses of worship that are coming together to do food drives. They're coming together for turkey giveaways. We are collectively coming together as citizens in Franklin County and Columbus, Ohio, to fight this fight against hunger. Many times we take Dr. King and his message and everything that he represented, and we make it all about a dream of just racial reconciliation. But if we really dig into Dr. King's dream was much bigger than just racial reconciliation. But Dr. King also said in one of his speeches, he said, let us march on poverty until no American parent has to skip a meal so that their children may eat. Family, almost 60 plus years later, we find ourselves still marching the same march. We're fighting against poverty, we're fighting against hunger, we're fighting to make sure that no one is left out or no one finds themselves being misrepresented. So what I would challenge us to do today, as not just an audience that is present at this very fine organization, but what I would challenge us to do for all those who are listening in today is let us come together. Let us not fight over who's Democrat or Republican. Let us not fight over who cheers for this particular sports team or that particular sports team. Let us not worry about who gets credit and who doesn't get credit. Let us come together as a community to make sure that no one goes without hunger or goes without food and goes without a meal this next day. Family, this is a critical time for us. It's a time for us to step up. It's a time for us to use our platforms and to use our positions to make sure that we help those who are in need. Family, it's with that thought in mind that I would like to offer an invitation back to the podium to our very fine mayor in the person of Mayor Ginther.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in and doing what you can. It is part of the great muscle memory of this community, the Columbus Way, when we all do our part and step up to support our neighbors in need. Just like the story of the little girl and the starfish, I hope this showing of support will inspire Franklin County residents to lend a hand as well. The city, we're inviting our nearly 10,000 employees to join us by participating in a drive for food and hygiene items starting today. Goods collected will be distributed at the pods and alongside holiday meals at Recreation and Parks, Columbus Police's annual Thanksgiving giveaways later this month. I'm also asking our employees with flexible work schedules to volunteer 4 hours of a workday in November to help, either by supporting our food drive, handing out produce boxes at our recreation centers, or by volunteering at one of Matt's food pantries. If you or your workplace or your place of worship would like to help, there's plenty you can do. Donate food or funds to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, volunteer at a food pantry, check in on your neighbors and help connect them to some of the resources we discussed today. With each of us doing something to help, we can ride through this storm together. I want to thank all of you sincerely for helping our neighbors and friends in need. With that, we'll be happy to take your questions. I'd ask members of the press, if you have questions about what's been announced today, I'd like to take those first to respect the time of everybody else that's here. But as you know, you can ask me anything you want, including Ryan Day's play calling on Saturday, but we'll do that after we let folks get back to their responsibilities. All the speakers, you want to join me up here just in case we have a question for anybody in particular? Press, any questions about what's been announced or shared today? Could you just tell us your name and your organization?
Sure. My name's Erin. I'm with ABC6. Wondering where the funding comes from that the city is offering.
So it comes with from funding within the different city departments, some out of the general fund and then some out of different grant funds. Commissioner Crawley, you want to speak to the county?
For the county, it comes out of our general revenue fund contingency budget.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's still unclear when, if the SNAP benefits do go out, so we don't know that timeline. How long can everything announced today last to help fill in the gap?
Not long. We need the government to step up and do their part. I think I just got an update from a headline that the federal government has announced semi-payments. So this money is even more important now than when we came together to announce this and put this plan together. We need the government to reopen, and we need the people in Washington to hear the voices of us, our businesses, our faith community, our neighbors in need. These folks are facing a crisis, like Matt said, that we've never seen before. And local government doesn't have the luxury, dysfunction to shut down. Our job on the local level is to step up.
If this shutdown continues on and that money doesn't cover this, is the city and county prepared to do this again in the future? And is there the funding available?
Well, we heard that partial benefits will go out based off of the court decision. However, there will be a delay. We're hoping that funds do come through to help SNAP recipients. The county has not talked about, at this point in time, additional funding, but that's a conversation for another day.
I think it's important, and I might have Matt come back up and talk about the difference between what we're announcing today and what SNAP does for families. What we're talking about is a short-term approach to a crisis, but this is not sustainable. And until the federal government reopens and fully funds SNAP, a lot of our neighbors are at risk. Matt, you want to talk a little bit about that?
The mayor mentioned earlier, it's over $30 million a month in Franklin County as SNAP benefits. So, and it's $55 million across the 20 counties that we serve. So that is not going to be made up. This is buying us time for the federal government to do its job. And at the end of the day, it's going to give us some time. And I'm going to make something real clear. 100% of all the donations that are coming in for this are going just for food. I'll figure out how to cover the operating expenses of handling all that. But it's all going for food to buy us some time so that we can get the government reopened and get SNAP benefits fully restored. As I said, they're the first line of defense. And I think that's very important to remember. Charity, this happened I've been around a long time, as most of you know. And this happened in the 80s, and they thought philanthropy was going to make up for federal cuts. Philanthropy cannot make up for federal cuts. This is about SNAP as the first line of defense. And as President Crawley said, and the mayor said, this hunger is food is not a privilege, it's a right. And I think that's something to continue to remember. We want to make sure that nobody in this community goes hungry. And best of all, they get to go to the grocery store and get it. You should never have to go to a food pantry to get food.
Any other questions from the press?
I was watching Donald Trump's interview last night on 60 Minutes, and he gave a detailed speech about why the Republicans have not voted to open up Congress. He was saying that he needs votes from the Democratic side, and he stated that the Democratic side is not willing to give those votes until the Republican side is agreeing to give some type of funding towards Obamacare, and the Republicans do not want to fund Obamacare. Can you give some type of more detail into that battle between Obamacare and SNAP?
We're not here to talk about Obamacare. We're not here to talk about anything else. We need the government to open, and we need our neighbors to get fed. That's what we're here today to talk about, and that's what we're focused on. Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Mayor, thanks, sir. Appreciate you.